Those are some very easy crops. They're very native to us, to this region of the world. Everybody has had sweet potato pong, egg scrambled with chaya, or galalo. We've all had that. Now, so I'm going to talk about the importance of those crops in regenerative agriculture and how they serve us well, integrating the entire system of how we're going to regenerate the country of Belize. Everybody worries about the planet. Let us first worry locally. BBC has a very nice saying. It says, act locally, but think globally. So let us act here. We have to move from reading all of these books and all of these reports, and I can give you all sorts of data. For example, I can tell you that there's 93 million light years from here to the sun. Now we know that. What do you do with that? I'm not an astronaut. I can't do anything with that. I just know it. You know, we know so much about agriculture, about regenerative agriculture. We've been taught that all our ancestry that makes up Belize, the African ancestry, the Mayan ancestry, even the Europeans who have been here for a few hundred years now, they all know these things. They all brought these cultures to us. How do we make them work in our regenerative agriculture? The concept today is to try and emphasize as best as possible that the genetic material, the know-how, the weather, everything, we already have it. And how do we put it to work to do a few things? One, which is important to me, and everybody has something that is a little more important to everybody. My main concern is how do we feed people high quality food? How do we do that? Some people are completely against agrochemicals. Others are completely against GMOs. Others think that we can only be organic. Others think that it needs to be a permaculture system. There's all sorts of systems out there, and we can discuss those on another day. Today is not for that. Today we're going to try and take these three crops and see how we can best integrate them. And I chose these three crops for a few reasons. The main reason is that they're native to us, and everybody knows these crops. The second reason is that in regenerative agriculture, unlike old science, we now know that livestock, animals, play an important role in our regenerative agriculture. So these animals consume these crops also. Chaya, for example, for chickens, sweet potato. Traditionally, a lot of pigs are grown on sweet potato. Amaranth is an extremely high protein grain. So we're going to try and discuss these crops. I'm going to give you very specific details on these crops, and then we will go into the concept and the practices of regeneration, okay? Bear with me, I'm supposed to be more professional and have a clicker, but technology is not on our side today, but I can click it. So sweet potato. Sweet potato we have, everybody recognizes sweet potato. It originated in Latin America, here in Central America. I will have a side note on that. There's a discussion now. The new ethnobotanist tells us that it's actually from Asia, okay, or Central Africa. That might be so, but it's been here for thousands of years either way. So we will claim it for today. If it is from Asia, it makes a lot of sense, because remember, we are taught through our archaeological classes that the peoples of the Americas migrated from Asia across the Bering Strait into the Americas. So the Mayans have close heritage in Asia. So maybe they did bring it. Either way, it's been here a long time. It's a highly adapted crop to us. It can be cultivated in all environments, tropical and subtropical. I was very fortunate to just make a trip to England, and I was absolutely shocked. England has more sweet potato than any store in Belize. It's everywhere now, it's a fact. And they are very cold, as you know. So sweet potato is highly adapted, okay? Worldwide, it's the 7th most important crop. People don't think of this, how important sweet potato is. One of the reasons it's so important is because of the populations where it's consumed. In the continent of Asia, especially China, which is the largest producer, it's one of their staple crops, is sweet potato. You can go into a store and buy literally anything made out of sweet potato. You might think you're eating noodles that are made from wheat and they're sweet potato. There's a vast, and we're going to look into those, so I won't touch those right now. There's a vast array of products that are made from sweet potato. Because any crop that can be made into a flour, you can make any product from. And this is a high energy, high starch crop. Now, traditionally, we produce corn and beans, which is our staple diet, rice, and so forth. And yet, although it is native to us and local to us, there is no crop known to the human being that can grow in tropical climates like ours that can produce more energy. It does not exist. The highest yield of corn in a country like Belize on an open, say, in a Midwest system, might be between 1,500 pounds to maybe 2,000 pounds. And in the more intensive farms, it might go from maybe 3,000 to maybe a maximum of 8,000 on an extremely good year with proper sunlight, enough rain, and so forth. With very little care, sweet potato is somewhere around 25,000 pounds on my farm per acre. There is no comparison to the yields. It doesn't exist. There's no crop that has the genetic information naturally to outproduce itself. For a simple reason, which is actually a scientific reason, and it has to do with solar radiation. It has a tremendous capacity to use the solar rays, all right? And that is one of the reasons why it's chosen as a regenerative crop, because it can take a tremendous amount of carbon out of the atmosphere and put it back into the soil. At the same time, it's producing food. Does anybody have any questions? You can feel free to interject at any point. We will make this work. So, it can withstand high pest infestations. In agronomy, they talk about the economic threshold. All that means is how much pests can a plant take before the yields are reduced. And when we talk about pests, we're not necessarily talking about insects. Pests is anything that can destroy a plant. Viruses, bacteria, nematodes. In the case of sweet potato, there is a drawback in Belize, and it's rats. Rats love sweet potatoes. It's like rats in sugarcane is the same thing. So rats, there will be an infestation of rats in a sweet potato field. But there's ways to deal with that also. I mean, monitoring, you have to go to your field every day if you're a farmer. So you can trap them. There's a number of things you can do with rats, including having a cat. Some people say allow the snakes to live, but there's only one good snake to me. It's a dead snake. I just don't like it. But anyway, sweet potato can withstand up to 60% of the loss of its vegetation, of its leaves, and have no effect on the total yield of the plant. In other words, if you see a caterpillar, any leaf eater, destroying the leaf, you do not have to go, oh, what's the next pesticide? Let's go get some Lanit or Tamaron or anything, and let's kill it. It is not necessary, because it will not affect the final root yield. It will not affect it. It will also take around 80% of total weed infestation and not have an effect on total yield. Weed infestation will have effect on tuber size and tuber shape. You might look crooked. They'll have all different sizes and shapes that are not appealing to the eye, but you will still get about 25,000 pounds. And that's important, because sweet potato can be industrialized in many other ways if the tubers are not appealing to the eye. Now, what is so important about being able to take a heavy loss of vegetation and not affect the tuber yield is that it's an ideal forage crop. Because now I know that sweet potato can take so much loss on the leaf, that means I can harvest it to feed it to animals. It is not tradition in Belize, or most of Central America by that point, for us to consume the leaves. But did you know that the second most important crop in the whole of the Asian continent are sweet potato tips? It's not even rice. Sweet potato tips. Every bowl of soup where you see some little green leaf floating around, Those are sweet potato tips. It is highly nutritious. No, sweet potato leaves do not kill cows. If cows are fed on high quantities of the tubers, which we call the root, but it's a tuber, and they haven't been gradually introduced to it, there might be some bloating due to the accumulation of nitrogen. But sweet potato is a starch crop, so it is very rare that happens. It's more often that they might choke if it's not the right size. So sweet potato normally goes to a chopper before it is fed to livestock. But no, sweet potato will not, no leaf has any anti-nutritional for livestock, especially for ruminants.
Can it be used as a cover crop in intense focus gardening?
Exceptional cover crop. Exceptional cover crop. The only warning I have is we need to be aware of the rats. So but it's one of the best cover crops. There's nothing like sweet potato. Sweet potato has 25,000 pounds per acre of tubers and somewhere around 60,000 pounds of foliage. It makes excellent hay for cattle also. So you can imagine the amount of carbon it's drawing out of the atmosphere and putting back into the soils. And it does well in a tremendous amount of soils. Now, coming back to Mr. Tom's question about the toxicity of sweet potato. Sweet potato is not toxic to ruminants at all. If you go online, and everybody has internet now, you will see how much work has been done with sweet potatoes. The FAO is actually I think it's the third most important crop for FAO. Cassava is the number one right now. But sweet potato does have an interesting characteristic. And there's a fancy word in agronomy called allelopathy. That means an allelopathic plant is a plant that kills other plants. And that is why, coming back to your question, is it a good cover crop? And that is why it makes an excellent cover crop, because it kills other plants. There's a few plants in the tropics like that. Cassava, for example. Very few things grow well under cassava. You have to have a good intercrop with cassava. The ginger does well with cassava, for example. But if you plant pineapples and cassava, pineapple, they're not friends. Coffee is the same. Coffee is another allelopathic plant. But coffee is not native to us. That's from Africa, from Ethiopia. But sweet potato has an allelopathic ability to smother. It's actually chemical warfare. Not only the military complex has it, the forest also has chemical warfare. And the concept behind this is that you choose the plants which will grow in your environment for the final purpose, which is in our case to produce food very clean. Because it's allelopathic, I mentioned earlier to take up to 80% weed infestations. You will seldomly get 80% weed infestations unless we have prior used herbicides. And it's very important when we're starting on a new plot of land to stay away from herbicides, because plants will develop resistance to herbicides regardless of what any scientific research shows. Plants do develop resistance to herbicides. So the way a herbicide kills is the same way an allelopathic plant kills. So if we now have 3 or 4 new generations of, there's a famous grass throughout the sweet potato region of the world. It's called Rockwellia cochinchiensis. That's its botanical name. It grows all along our highways. That grass straight across the road there is Rockwellia. There's many local names for it, but that's Rockwellia. And Rockwellia has the same genetic information that sweet potato has. And it's also completely tolerant to Roundup throughout the world, including Belize. If you don't believe me, go through the cornfields and you're going to see 3 species. One is amaranth, you call it pigweed. 2 is Rockwellia, and 3, what's the third one? Is Johnson grass. For the sole purpose Roundup was developed was to control Johnson grass. A few years later, it doesn't work because the plants are intelligent. So, back to what we're talking about here. The large genetic diversity of sweet potato makes it such an adaptable crop. You can see it on lowlands, you can see it on highlands. For example, there's very few crops that can grow from the lowlands here in Belize. Belize is considered a lowland country. When we talk about the hills through the Sand Creek Valley, well, Christian, they're not really hills, they're rolling hills. So we have it throughout the lowlands all the way to Peru. And Peru and Bolivia are very, very high countries, and they produce a tremendous amount. As a matter of fact, the World Center for Genetic Improvement and Selection of Potatoes, including sweet potato, which is not a potato technically, different plants, because potato is native to Peru, and not sweet potato, is in Peru. And they grow over 7,000 varieties of sweet potatoes. The genetic potential we have to select. We have sweet potatoes that are naturally tolerant to nematodes, for example. Everybody talks about nematodes in sweet potatoes being such a big problem. We have varieties that are tolerant to nematodes. Okay? We have already said that all parts of this plant is edible. There is no part of this plant that is not edible. Now, like chai, like sweet potato, and like cantaloupe, for modern way of life, they have one big limitation. All three of these plants dehydrate or wilt very quickly. If I harvest cantaloupe in the morning and I take it to the market by 10 o'clock, nobody wants to buy it. It looks all shriveled, it's all wilted out. Sweet potato is the same. Now that gives an advantage if you're thinking out of the box. That means we can dehydrate them quickly, turn them into a powder, and have them in a powder form because the nutritional value is so high, the little they do lose in the processing is insignificant. So now I'm cooking my rice, I'm cooking my beans or whatever I'm cooking, I can put a handful of dehydrated sweet potato leaves or cantaloupe leaves or chaya leaves. Chaya does have some processing before we can do that, but nobody that is native to this part of the world is going to die from eating chaya. If you read any book, they say, oh, stay away from chaya. I mean, everyone of you have had it and nobody is dead yet, so we have to pick and choose science sometimes. So there we go. Look at, we had mentioned this, I was ahead of my time. Sweet potato is somewhere around 25,000 pounds per acre. Corn in Belize is anything between 2,000 and 5,000 pounds with a tremendous amount of inputs. Heavy plowing, fertilizers, reaping, then have to dry it. The amount of energy that is required to produce any grain crop compared to any sugar crop. There's no question which one is going to win that battle. All tropical sugars will outproduce all tropical grains. Okay? Now, grains do have, in most instances, a higher protein content. But sugars have a much higher energy content. And right now we're talking about energy. The reason why I chose those two crops because the seeds of the cantaloupe or the amaranth are our protein source. So between the sweet potato, the amaranth, and the chaya, we actually do have a complete food. Okay? The grain of we will get to amaranth later. Beans, look at the poor yields of beans. That doesn't mean we shouldn't plant beans because they're absolutely delicious. But I'm just making comparisons. And there's beans is also an excellent crop. The diversity, the genetic diversity is tremendous. And they also produce nitrogen and a lot of other things. But this is just for a comparison. 25,000 pounds compared to 8,000 pounds. There's no comparison. These are high genetic potential in these crops, which we're sitting on. We're just sitting on them. It's better for us to bring meat from Canada or wherever we're bringing it from than to make our own that can grow here. It's an excellent animal feed, and tubers can be stored underground. That's something that in Belize we don't pay attention too much, and that is food security. Food security doesn't only have to do with the immediate availability of food in the stores. Food security is much bigger than that. I'll give you an example. A number of years ago, the Kendall Bridge was washed out. Within 5 hours, There was a mile of traffic on this side of the bridge and another 2 miles on that side of the bridge. And the mile of traffic on this side of the bridge, on the Kendall side, not on the Maya Center, but on this side, was all trucks taking supplies. There's no supplies in the southern districts. So where's their food security? If one bridge is the bottleneck for 2 large parts of our country, the Stan Creek, the furthest Stan Creek, the South Stan Creek, and the Toledo district. So where's our, unless we go back to Halatem and bring it to the back. We can't do that probably. But food security is having the availability of food at all times. And sweet potato is one of those crops that say we don't have refrigeration. Fair enough. Leave it. You don't have to harvest it. Eventually you do have to because it becomes very, very hard, as you all know. But a sweet potato is ready. Some varieties are ready within 3 months, and you can leave them there for 7, 8 months. The tubers just get bigger and unsightly, but there's nothing wrong with them. They just are bigger tubers. They're handled. You just handle them differently. That's all. Rather than having a nice little sweet potato that's maybe 4 or 5 ounces, which is an acceptable look in the market, you have now one that's 2 pounds. Now, if you're a farmer, you're going to go and show that one off because that's the one you wanted to show off. But the consumers don't like it. We've done these tests. Consumers don't like big, fat sweet potato. As a farmer, I say, when I want to go and show my dad, I'm the farmer anymore. Anyway. So, being able to store food in the ground is important. And sweet potato can do that for us. Cassava, to some extent also. But sweet potato is one of the best food storages on the ground. Again, I must mention that rats will become a problem. Rat infestations in the world cause a tremendous amount of losses to farmers. So here we have some sweet potato products. You can go into a shop right now in Tesco's, which is a main shop in England. And because I knew I was going to have this presentation, I went looking for products. They have flour everywhere, jam, the sweet potato drinks. Half of the ketchup is sweet potato based because there's a big backlash right now to cornstarch because all the cornstarch is genetically modified. So now they've gone to using the ketchup and the cornstarch or the sweet potato starch is now used for the ketchup. Fries, you go into McDonald's right now in London and you have a choice between traditional fries or sweet potato fries. You pay an extra pound, a British pound, which is about $3. Sweet potato fries, and we have them here, a dime a dozen. Noodles, I have mentioned starch and noodles. There's a tremendous amount of brands out there of noodles. And noodles is another exceptional way of actually storing the sweet potato. Once you have dehydrated it, you add water, you pass it through the noodle machine. Noodles are so dry, they stay for a long time on the shelves. It's a good form of storage if we don't have refrigeration, if we don't have other forms of storage. To me, my preferred one for sure is flour. And it's a very easy way to make flour from sweet potato. It is not, unlike cassava, although it's another one of my favorite crops, cassava is not an easy process to make flour. There's a lot of washing and work done in cassava to get a high quality flour that you can just utilize overnight. Unlike sweet potato does not have any anti-nutritional factors like cassava does. Cassava has some anti-nutritional factors. Although cassava is a very good crop, it has some anti-nutritional factors which sweet potato does not. Alright, this is the end of sweet potato. Does anybody have any questions? The next one, if we do not, where can we get different sweet potato varieties in Belize? That's a good question. And there's an easy answer. You have to go from farm to farm. Because we have failed the Belizean community. I will blame all the NGOs this time and the research people and everybody else who needs to be blamed. I won't take it there. But we do not have a sweet potato genetic bank. Now, there's a lady in the back room here, and they actually have a tremendous amount of different varieties of sweet potato. Okay? So the sweet potatoes are here. They're not decimated, they're not available readily to the open farmers, but they are here. And there are some sweet potatoes that are better than others. And that information we also do not have readily available. I cannot say you can plant this variety in this type of soil. I cannot easily say that right now, and I would not want to lead you astray. And sweet potatoes are a tricky crop also. Some people like the sweetness of a sweet potato, and that, in my opinion, will not work in the Belize market. Because the Belize market likes a blander type of food. We don't like sweet food. The sweeter sweet potatoes can be utilized for pastries, and I have a young man who is actually a graduate of SET, and I'm very proud of him. He went to school in San Ignacio at SET, and he has made some of the nicest pastries from sweet potato. But the regular variety that we have here is a red skin with a creamish whitish flesh, and I have on my farm that's proven to be the best variety. There is a number of varieties you can actually find at the San Ignacio farmer market also. They do show up. That's a place you can get your sweet potatoes. There's a very beautiful orange, deep orange sweet potato that shows up there. When you slice it, it's like a carrot inside. It's absolutely beautiful inside. Unfortunately, in Belize we like fried foods. It doesn't fry well. It's soggy. It's very, very soft. But the North American market loves that. It's their number one sweet potato. That's what they consider sweet potato. What we call a sweet potato, they call a yam. That's what they call it. Either way, there's a lot. So to answer you shortly, we don't have one spot you can go and get the variety. The varieties are here in the country. We just have to locate them. How do we make sweet potato flour? It's a very easy way. If you have a potato peeler, a mechanical one, or a chicken plunger, I have never had, personally, I've never owned a potato peeler, so I don't own, but I've utilized for my experiments a chicken plunger. When sweet potato is just harvested, the skin is very delicate, very, very, very delicate, very soft. If you dump maybe 50 pounds in a chicken plunger, a plucker, chicken plucker, to take the feathers off, the barrel that spins. You've heard of it. It has some rubber fingers on it. That will beat off all the skin very quickly, and they will be really white. All you need to do then is I don't cook them, I do it raw. It goes to a chopper or a grinder. If you're doing it at home, the best way is to just mash them, whatever you have. If you don't have electrical power, I use a blender. If you're doing it at home, if you're not industrial, you blend them, you put them on a tray, they will dry, it becomes very flaky, and you just crush it up, and you just crush it beautifully. That's sweet potato flour. And if you can get it to 14% moisture or below, 1 year, 2 years, nothing happens to it. It does not lose its quality. It does not lose its quality. All you need to do is make a paste, and then dry that paste, and then grind that paste again. Now, there's equipment to do that. But if we're talking about home use, you can do it with a blender, you can do it by hand, it doesn't really matter. Now, I said to peel the sweet potatoes. That's only because you want a pretty looking flour. If you don't care on how the flour looks, and if it's at an off color, an off white, it will be brown or brownish. It will look oxidized. All you need to do is wash the potato thoroughly and do the same without having to peel it. By peeling it, we do a number of things. One, we lose up to 4% of the total yield. In some cases more if the sweet potatoes are irregular size. If they are very uniform in size, the percentage might be less, but if the sweet potatoes are irregular size, we will lose up to maybe 10% of the total yield because we're going to dump those skins. And secondly, we lose nutritional value because the skins, as everybody knows, has a high nutritional value. So it is not necessary other than for aesthetics to peel sweet potatoes.
Yeah, young people. Yeah, what to do
What's the relation between yampi and sweet potato? Is there any relationship? Yes, both of them are, as you know, ground foods. But one is a root and one is a tuber. Yampi is technically is a root, and sweet potato is technically a tuber. Yampi generally is a running vine. In other words, it likes to crawl. It utilizes vertical space better than horizontal space. It's a yam. Yampi is a yam. Of which also there's a number of varieties in Belize. Unfortunately, I believe we're losing a lot of our native yampi varieties, or some people call them yampa. They don't show up at the market as often as they used to. Fortunately though, all the native varieties of Belize do exist. They're actually at Cati in Costa Rica. There was a massive collection, I think, in the 60s or 70s. And they do exist, and they do have them, so they're at the genetic banks. But I think personally, we have lost some. I might be wrong. It would take an effort to go from farm to farm, especially the two extreme districts, the Toledo district and the Corozal district, still have more root crops than the central districts. And Corozal actually, because Corozal has a lot of ideal conditions for root crops. There's a lot of areas in Corozal that are beautiful sandy soils. That also applies to, I guess it's northern Belize, behind Mascal. Is that not it? No, a bit west Belize, I guess. So Mascal, Copperbank, that area there also has a lot of roots and tubers that you don't see up here, especially in the Cairo market. You don't see them anymore. They used up here, they're not there anymore.
Yampi make a beautiful flower that you could incorporate and make beautiful cakes.
That's right.
Cakes. If you want natural color in your food, yampi the one special one. Put it in your ice cream.
A very, very, very good input here. Yampi does contribute some beautiful color to cuisine because of the colors yampi naturally has. I will continue, if not I won't finish. So, as I said, amaranth is cultivated or it's native to Central America. It is referred to as pseudo-cereal. Cereals are normally grasses, like rice and corn and so forth. Those are generally a grass. And a pseudo-cereal is a grain that behaves like a cereal. And amaranth is one of those, or callaloo is one of those. It behaves, in other words, it has a beautiful amino acid profile like other grains do. It has a very good digestibility, and more importantly, the absorption rate of those nutrients. Many times we get all excited about how nutritious a plant is. And it's true, the plant might be extremely nutritious. For example, kale. Kale is a buzz. It's so nutritious. And that is true. But what is the absorption rate of those nutrients that are in kale? What is the absorption rate? It's mostly roughage, and we are not cows. So the digestibility of kale to us, I'm not saying do not eat kale. It is a good plant, and the more we plant, the better we are. But a plant like amaranth, which is the grain from the callaloo, the digestibility and the absorption rate, because of the density of the nutrients, is so high, you cannot compare it to kale. It's uncomparable. Including the biomass it will produce, the greens it will produce. In Belize, we don't eat callaloo seeds. Very rarely do we do. And I do not understand why, because if you read all the books of callaloo or amaranth, you will find that prior to the Europeans arriving to the Americas, there was more amaranth planted than there is corn today. And that's a very hard fact to put our minds around. The Aztecs in Mexico, all the way to the Incas in Peru, cultivated amaranth. It was the sacred crop. It wasn't corn. Corn is a new concept that corn was sacred. Corn was sacred to the Mayans, to the Popol Vuh, but not only to the Mayans. It wasn't only the Mayans, peoples living here. We had other native peoples from, which is present-day Mexico City, the Aztecs, all the way to the Incas in Peru. And amongst them, amaranth was a much more popular crop. There are cultivars that we do not have easily in Mexico. Mexico still actually grows a lot of amaranth. Russia also grows a lot of amaranth. And Russia is cold. And amaranth is native to us, to Central America. So imagine how diverse the genetics are in amaranth. We have amaranth that is for ornamentals. We have amaranth that can be produced solely for grain. We have amaranth that can be produced for foliage, like the Belizean amaranth, the local callaloo, is probably the plant that can take the most pruning. Every time you clip, it shoots again. You clip, it shoots again. You clip, it shoots again. And amaranth grows in the worst of soils. It's a weed. And remember now, we're talking about regenerative agriculture. I know I'm going to get into trouble for what I'll say right now, but I'm happy that there's invasive species, and amaranth is an invasive species. Everybody's, oh, invasive species, invasive species. Well, the more invasive it is, and the human being is not a dumb animal, we're very intelligent. All we need to do is to learn to utilize these invasive species to our benefit. And amaranth self-propagates. Yes? Callaloo. They're all amaranth, and to be very honest with you, there's so many that I don't know, but there's at least, in Belize, there's at least 15 different varieties, but in the world now, without exaggerating, there's thousands. Absolutely. The seeds are, the one in Belize, the local callaloo in Belize has a black seed. A very small black seed, it's like the size of a pinhead. And it's the easiest crop to harvest. I might be straying away from what I'm supposed to be talking about. But anyway, amaranth, if you allow it, the callaloo, if you allow it to grow, the seed will get brown. The panicle, the flower mass will go brown. You just cut that and beat it, and all the seeds, along with the little flowers will fall, so you have to blow it. And because the flower is so ultra light, just like you blow beans or corn on the farm, the same way to do it. And the little black seeds will fall, and the trash will blow away. But there are varieties specifically grown for grain. Beautiful colors. There's a beautiful red. There's a very nice white one. Right in Chetumal, actually, there's a white plantation. I say white, but it's bone white. It's more creamish looking. And that one has an interesting characteristic that it pops like popcorn. At the last genetic festival that they had in Yucatan and in Ifa, they had the varieties there. And I contraband some. Nobody will buy here. So, as I said, it grows in all subtropical climates. It is my #1 favorite crop for drought tolerant. It is one of the few crops that in the heights of the seasons, in April and May in Belize, they're still green. You won't find that with sweet potato, for sure. It will wilt. Chaya, which I'll be talking about next, does maintain its vegetation green, but it's not prolific in the dry weather. It's there, it won't die. You do have food, but amaranth is #1. Now, something very important about amaranth. So it says the leaves are a storehouse for many phytonutrients. We have already discussed that. There's a big factor on antioxidants. It's very, very high in antioxidants. It does have a lot of minerals and vitamins. We all know that. Traditionally, if you don't feel well, why I need a callaloo soup or something like that. We know this. Why don't we do it? Like I cannot go to the San Ignatius farmer market and find callaloo right now. It doesn't exist. If I ask for it, somebody will probably bring it. But it's not readily there. We have not adapted it like we have adapted ramen. How could we have adapted ramen? Come on! Huh? Do I have to put a little logo there in Chinese or in Vietnamese or in another language for us to buy it? I don't know. But I will try it. The seeds are considered a superfood. We had already talked about that. And those are the three predominant colors of amaranth. Very importantly, amaranth is self-propagating. Be honest with yourself. How many of you have actually planted amaranth or kalalu? Very few of us go, ooh, my president is surprised. Because most of us just go and harvest it because it just grows. You can see it everywhere. But thank you for planting it everywhere, those who have it.
But if you plant it with some good nutrition, it becomes a large plant with huge leaves, and it can give small little apples.
That's correct. Amaranth is one of the few crops, if I'm going to be completely honest with myself, that can be done completely without a minimum without organic matter. It absolutely loves organic matter. Sweet potato, I'll confess that sometimes needs some help. Different soils, if you don't have the right sweet potato varieties, will struggle. On my farm, for example, that very pretty orange little one struggles. I need to constantly be mulching it and so forth. Amaranth is one of the most invasive species we have in Belize, the most prolific. If the insects devour it, he doesn't care. Tomorrow he shoots buds right away. And you don't have to believe me if you know about a tree. Cut it with your scissors and go back next week and go cut it again. So that is a very good attribute of kalalu. And the more we prune it, like the gentleman says here, the more it branches, and that's what we look for. So invasive species are not that bad. If you look at the weeds of North America, the weeds of North America, one of the main weeds is pigweed. I know what pigweed is? Amaranth. How good is it for the soil? Does it give back nutrients? That was the question. It's a very good question because we're talking about regenerative agriculture. Now, if the plant is growing so aggressively, so fast, that means it is taking a lot of nutrients out very quickly. Because remember now, there's no crop in Central America, and I'll challenge anybody to find a crop in Belize that you can harvest within 60 days, and you could with kalalu. Actually, within 45 days if you irrigate it and fertilize it. But we won't talk about it, because we're not allowed to talk about it. If we force amaranth with nitrogen fertilizers, it's ready in 32 days. 32 days. Now, is it good for the soil? If a plant is growing so fast, it must be taking out a lot of nutrients. And it must be utilizing the little bit of water that's there also. There's no plant that's a miracle plant. Let us forget about those miracle plants. We call moringa the miracle tree and all of these things, but there's some truth with it. But if they're taking out, if they're growing so fast, means they're also using a lot of nutrients. But it so happens that they do not need that amount of nutrients from the soil. They're some of the best utilizers of solar radiation. On a very hot day, the amaranth, you go out there, it only slightly wilts compared to other tropical plants. It is photosynthesizing so aggressively. The cytoplasm, which is a part of photosynthesis, the process in the leaf, is so excited that it is working overtime. And the root system is a very dense system. They're not tremendously deep roots, but if you take your time and pull a plant out, you'll see how the mat of roots are. So it's an extremely efficient plant in using nutrients. And because it's doing that, it's utilizing, so I'm going to get to your answer. You asked me if it's good for the soil. Because it's capturing so much energy from the sunlight, and it's manufacturing a lot of its own requirements. It's not only coming from the soil. It's going to put back those nutrients also. Because we do not harvest the stems. So the biomass, in other words, the amount of vegetation is going to produce. Remember, we're going to take away the seeds, we're going to take away the leaves. But the root system is going to stay there, and the stems are going to stay there. And the stems do get very big. The amount of biomass that goes back into an amaranth field is anything between 30 and 40 tons. In very bad soils. In good soils, it might be more. Amaranth is one of the most productive plants we have. You can even kill it with a herbicide. Believe me, try it. Amaranth will come back. It's a resilient plant. One of the greatest benefits between amaranth, sweet potato, and chaya is that amaranth is so easily handled. Chaya can have its constraints, and sweet potato is a lot of hard work. Amaranth is one of the easiest plants. You can hug amaranth. There's no prickles, it's a soft leaf.
I think naturally you can describe it, it's a plant that will be one of the first to colonize any barren land. So it has all the mechanisms for outgrowing whatever else coming, because it's a pioneering plant in where it's coming.
That's correct. It's a pioneering plant in Central America. There's two other plants that are similar to amaranth. They're not as highly adaptable and you don't see them throughout the country of Belize. But there's one that is very much so in the southern districts, both Stan Creek and Toledo. As soon as you clear land, which I hope we're not going to do anymore, but as soon as we clear land and we burn it, there's a plant that if you relate it to Jamaican cuisine, they call it jokoto. Jokoto is a very succulent plant. It has a long seed, a flower that's red, some very succulent leaves, very broad leaves. If anybody's from Stan Creek, this young man is. If you don't know jokoto, I will fire you. And he's from PG, so he should know what jokoto is. In the Stan Creek and Toledo districts, jokoto grows easily. So that's another pioneering plant. And then we have another plant that grows throughout the country, which we refer to as yerba or mora. And that also is another pioneering plant. Both of them are nice species, but they cannot be compared to Kalalu. Because the best advantage, in my opinion, to Kalalu is the storability of the seeds. Once those seeds have been harvested, once they've dried on that plant, you've harvested those seeds. They need a slight drying and that's it. You can store them, they will just stay there. They germinate 2-3 years after, they will still germinate. If you have a Kalalu field and you want to plant another crop, you better do a good job rooting them out. Because they're coming back. Because there's literally millions of seeds. Literally. I've never taken the time to count them. I'm sure some scientists have. But there's literally thousands of seeds in Amaranth. So it has a high tolerance to insect pests and it stores easily. Again, all parts of the plants are edible. We know that. The dry leaves are easy and practical method to enhance nutritional value of different crops. We can dry the leaves because they dehydrate so nicely, so quickly. Unlike, has anybody tried dehydrating, for example, moringa? Moringa, although it's a great plant, it's not that easy to dehydrate on large scale. It requires energy. When it barely gets wet, it goes moldy. Because of the nutrients in the leaves, it goes moldy really quickly. Although it's an antibacterial, it also grows bacteria very quickly. Amaranth doesn't do that for whatever reason. I don't know the reason, but it stores exceptionally well and it dries really quickly. The seeds can be made into flour very quickly. In Mexico, in Puebla, during the Holy Week, you will see a lot of amaranth sweets, a lot of amaranth foods, and a lot of products that are made from amaranth flour. So, our variety, unless you don't care what the food looks like, might not be the best, not because of the yield, but because of the color. Our flour will be more like black pepper, because inside of the seed is a little speck of white. And if you grind it, you know what black pepper. I don't know who wants to cook with black pepper. You want to look pretty. But there are varieties, the whiter grains, that they do well. So, as I said, you can, although we're talking about these specific crops, these crops can be mixed. I can take sweet potato flour and mix it with Kalalu flour. There's no reason why I cannot do that. It requires, I have not done it, but it requires a little bit of playing around in the kitchen till you get the right quantities right, so that maybe it makes a nice biscuit or something you can bake with it, including wheat flour. The mixes is what we need to play around with, and I challenge all the schools that teach cooking classes to test these things out. It's not difficult to test. So the yield of amaranth as far as the seeds go is compared to say sweet potato and chaya is low. It's about 1,500 pounds. That number is not an exact number. I only did a quarter of an acre and I extrapolated it and it became about 1,500 pounds to the acre. Now, I don't like doing that because I like to make sure that you do plant an acre, you harvest an acre, and you have the exact quantities. But more or less, we got about 1,500 pounds to the acre of amaranth seeds. You say, oh, well, why plant that? Sweet potatoes give 25,000 pounds. Well, sweet potato is also a lot of water. Amaranth seeds are dense, so the nutritional value is exceptionally high. But the nutrient quantity, the nutrients might be more because of the density than say sweet potato. Sweet potato might be, I don't know, 85, 87% water and the rest of nutrients and carbohydrates. So within 25 days we can start harvesting callaloo leaves. We don't have any other crop that does that. There's one Chinese crop that we can do that. And we do grow it a little bit in Belize, but we can only harvest it once and that's it. And that's pak choy. Pak choy can be ready to start to harvest at 25 days, but you cannot harvest a leaf. Once you touch that plant, you need to remove it because it's very susceptible because of the succulent nature of that plant, very susceptible to bacteria and viruses to infest it. So amaranth is the only plant that I know that can be harvested in 25 days. You can start harvesting sweet potato leaves at about 60 days, once the vines are well established. But the establishment of sweet potato is much slower than the establishment of amaranth. Sweet potato takes a little more time to root because it's planted by vines. What we have been able to achieve is about 6 harvests for the life of the plant, of removing the leaves. After that, we start to see the plant struggling a bit. Maybe it's because we're taking over too much of its energy. That does not mean that if the plant is allowed to rest and to come back, we cannot do it again. I believe that once the plant has reached its maximum potential, it starts to fall, then you just pull it out and put something else in there. Now, for my favorite food, which is chaya. Any questions on callaloo or amaranth? Yes?
Where can you obtain seed varieties in Belize?
Where can we obtain seed varieties of amaranth? Well, that would be with me. I do have a few of them. Over the years, I've collected a few. I've smuggled a few also. But there's a number of people who have very good varieties. And also, you can, it's one of the varieties or crops that you can order quite easily online also. If you know somebody, you can just order them. I've actually bought a lot of them online, little packages. And some of them have been very productive and others not as productive. But the native ones we have is what I would recommend to start with. And that we have plenty seed. Plenty seed. One panicle would be enough for you actually.
Can you use it, because it is evasive, can you use it to combat other existing types of crops instead of having to spend hours yanking or,
The question is, can we use it to combat other invasive grasses? My answer to that would be no. When it's germinating, although it's aggressive and it grows very quickly, it's actually very delicate when it's germinated. It's a very fine little sprout. Very, very fine. It's odd how it just transforms itself so quickly. But it's one of the thinner stems you will see. If you don't, although it's invasive, although it grows naturally, if you're going to do it commercially, if you don't have a nice seedbed, clear of grass, because remember our grasses are also invasive. So now you have 2 invasive species. Who's gonna outdo who? Yes, but once it's up, I would say maybe 2.5 feet off the ground, then I don't see a problem with grasses. Unless you have some of these grasses from the panicum family, which we would call like guinea grass or Mombasa or Tanzania. Those are very aggressive grasses that also grow very quickly. And they actually extend vertically and horizontally quicker than amaranth. Amaranth is a single stem, while a lot of these tropical grasses form a big ball that they shoot. They ratoon very quickly. Amaranth doesn't really ratoon, well, no, it doesn't ratoon. And these grasses do ratoon very quickly, so they expand very quickly. Because they're also designed for very dry, harsh conditions, these grasses. I would not say that it is a good crop to combat weeds. They're much better crops. They're other legumes, specifically as cover crops, that would do much better to combat weeds. I don't think it has that quality. Yes. Have I ever tried to incorporate it into a pasture for forage? The answer is no. For some odd reason, cows won't eat it, nor will horses. That's why it's a weed in fields. And we don't know why, but they won't touch it. Poultry that is confined and forced to eat it will eat it. But poultry that's in the backyard, and don't believe me, just by observation, you will notice that they won't eat it either. And that's why it grows well in people's backyards that have chickens, because they might nibble the bottoms, but they won't aggressively eat it. But when you see them picking at it, they're not really eating the leaves, they're eating the bugs that might be on those leaves. Amaranth is not palatable to livestock. It's just not. It can be, if you made it into an industrial feed, you can incorporate it as an additive to feeds that are more palatable, say corn or whatever you're feeding, as an additive to make a balanced ration, if animals are confined. But animals in liberty will not eat it. They will not eat it. As a matter of fact, if there was a constraint, I eat everything, and you could look at me and you will know that I do eat everything. That might be one of the only constraints. It is not the nicest green. For example, if I give you a choice here in this room, if I had to choose right now, if I had the front, sweet potato, chaya, and amaranth, I can safely say most people would have preferred chaya. To me, one of the greatest benefits of chaya, no?
I disagree. You don't know how you know how to prepare it. You have to know how to prepare it.
So I have somebody who disagreed with me and we need to prepare amaranth better. But so I'll speak for myself and only myself. Chaya, to me, has the nicest and the widest acceptance when it comes to food preparation. Kalaloo is a little on the tough side, even when it's harvested very young. It has more of an earthy texture to it. Unless you are a vegetarian or a vegan, it will be readily acceptable to you. If you're a meat lover, you'll have to incorporate it into your meat. Or you have grown up eating it. And a lot of these crops, it all depends when you actually start to eat it. If you started as an adult, it's actually quite challenging to eat anything that's new. For example, I grew up here in Belize. It is not in our everyday culture to eat mushrooms. I don't think I started to eat mushrooms till I was about, 18 or so. My mom must have taken me on holiday somewhere. And they were disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And yet the French think it's the best thing in the world. It is not until an adult that I know the importance of mushrooms that I eat them. But would I specifically order a mushroom plate at a restaurant? The answer is no. And kalaloo is like that. If we train our children to eat it, they'll gobble it. To me, it has to have fried onions, fried garlic for me to eat it. Or tomatoes. But, chaya. Any other questions on kalaloo before we continue?
Well, I think it is whether in order to establish in a pasture, I don't think it will establish anything where there's too much grass.
That's a good observation. If it can establish in a pasture, if you drive around the countryside, you don't see it in pastures. And if it is there, it's not thriving. It likes its own microenvironment. Wherever you see it, it's normally, although it does exceptionally well in direct sunlight, it also does really well under shade. a lot of backyards that have, maybe they might have a big mango tree or a big avocado tree, you will also see amaranth there. So it's a plant that also does well amongst those other plants. And that's important. In the whole regenerative agriculture, that's very, very important that we have plants that can coexist. So we have different levels of food production. We have, if it's a mango tree, you have up at the top your mangoes, then you have an amaranth at a certain level, and then if you like ducks or chickens, you can have that below. So you have to have your food not only horizontally, but vertically also. Because remember now, not because you own 1 acre, is it only this acre. You can produce from here, as far as you can go, is all yours also. Nobody's going to stop you. So you don't only own an acre. That acre is only in your mind. You can expand horizontally and also go below ground. One of the greatest advantages of sweet potato is that it produces below ground and above ground. There's food below ground and food above ground. And sweet potato can also be trellised. If you're not interested in having the tuber, and if you're only interested in having the greens, you can trellis it. You can have it along fences. It will grow as a trellis also.
I think, for example, in Africa, the market for the greens of sweet potato and cassava is even bigger than the tubers.
It is.
Yeah.
In Africa it is.
It's even more than, even if everybody eats cassava, then they also everybody eat the greens for the cassava.
And that's a green, although we're not talking about cassava today, that's a green that we do not touch either. It is cassava leaves. We don't eat it at all. It's one of the best chicken feeds. If you want to have beautiful yolks, there's a trick. If you want to have a deep orange, yellow, deep yolk in your eggs that nearly looks artificially yellow, you feed them cassava. If you want to have a racehorse that's going to explode at the gates, you give them cassava.
The tuber.
Raw. The tuber. But for the chicken leaves, it's the leaves. So, chaya. Chaya is native to the Yucatan Peninsula. Belize is part of the Yucatan Peninsula. It has been cultivated here for at least 5,000 years, I think more. But I'll just say what the ethnobotanists say, 5,000 years. But it's much more than 5,000 years. It has a high tolerance to drought. Compared to amaranth, I think the tolerance is a little less, but it does have a high tolerance to drought. It also has an extremely high tolerance to insects. I have only found one insect pest in chaya throughout my entire time working with chaya, and that's a spider mite. Spider mites do attack chaya, and there's nothing you can do about spider mites other than prune your chaya heavily and get them out of the field. Because spider mites are vicious. If you have 1 or 2 plants, there's a number of organic products you can manufacture. As a matter of fact, vinegar, 5% vinegar or 5% alcohol, does work on spider mites. Chaya is a very susceptible plant to any pesticide, be it organic or otherwise. It does not like to be sprayed. You spray chaya with an organic pesticide of any sort that you have made, even if it's as simple as marigolds, you will see dying of the tips. Especially where if you don't use a very fine spray, a micro spray, and wherever the water runs off the leaf is in the shape of a heart, that little tip will go brown. It does not like to be interfered with. It might be telling you something. It also produces some of its own insecticides. So, it is tolerant to insect pests. It is, I say, one of the most nutritious, although I like amaranth. Chaya is, for biomass, if you produce the green biomass, is probably the most nutritious that we have easily available to us. We also have a great genetic diversity in chaya in Belize. I prefer the varieties that are not as itchy. They don't have the little hairs, the irritants. That is a personal preference for management. Although I prefer the one that is itchy to eat, the one with a smaller leaf, because I think it's much tenderer. The varieties that have very large leaves are a little more fibrous. They have to be harvested a little younger compared
to the other varieties that form more of a shrub. The varieties that form a shrub rather than more of a bigger plant are the more local varieties. The other varieties that have a huge leaf are a little more into around Merida. We have a lot of them in Belize, but a lot of them have been introduced from further in Mexico into Belize. There's actually a research center. There's two large research centers. One, I believe, is in Florida, but there's one right next door in Chetumal. And in IFAP in Chetumal actually has an entire staff working for over 30 years on the development and improvement of chaya, of which we've brought many varieties to Belize from there. In Florida, I think it's called ECO or ECHO. They also have a lot of chaya research there. Now, it is propagated by the stems. Like also, sweet potato is also propagated by the stems, as you all know. Chaya is also an excellent chicken feed for free-range chickens. You cannot force feed them with it because it does have some anti-growth inhabitants. So if they eat too much of it, there is negative effects with chickens. So, but if the chickens are raised outside, they auto-regulate themselves. In pigs, we have never found any protein plant for pigs. Pigs tend to just eat anything and not get sick. Goats love chaya. If you have goats, you cannot have chaya. My brother has about 30 goats. They destroy my chaya all the time. Maybe did the right thing, got rid of his goats. The chaya is loved by sheep and goats. They just love it. Now, I can tell you by experience, you have to harvest it for those animals because chaya is so brittle that break it. Chaya breaks very easily. The stems, the branches break so easily. So you cannot graze it. We've tried grazing chaya because you don't want to do the hard work. You want them to harvest it. It doesn't work. They'll break all the branches. But it's to me my favorite food. But I've been challenged to say that because I can't cook amaranth. Some parts of the literature will refer to it as a leafy vegetable or a tree spinach because it is a spinach. We don't have anything, as I mentioned, that will yield more green spinach, green leaves than chaya in Central America. We just don't have it. There's a lot of talk in the last 5 or 6 years about moringa. Moringa does not reach anywhere close to the yields of chaya. And if you don't believe it, I have an acre of chaya and I have an acre of moringa side by side. Cheese to chop. There is no comparison. There's no comparison. Chaya will out-yield it in any aspect. In any aspect. It's also more resilient. Right now, I'm not bashing moringa because I love moringa, but right now, for example, around the country of Belize, the temperature is changing. Moringa will not have leaves on it for another week or two. All the leaves will shed. Chaya will not shed. It doesn't shed. So chaya will have a more, when it comes to food security, it has a longer, constant supply of high-end food. Moringa doesn't. There's a lot of plants that there's all of this talk about. But remember, they have to be in the right location. They have to be in the right environment. In chaya, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to talk about GMOs, we don't talk about feeding the world, this whole concept. We need to genetically modify because there's a growing population and there's starving people and there's this and that. We have chaya done that for us already. It selected itself.
Soil condition.
The soil condition for chaya. It doesn't like water. It doesn't like lowlands. So if you don't have, sorry, we find that it doesn't like stagnant water. It needs well-drained soil. If you look at where it originated, the Yucatan Peninsula, places like Orinjoa, Corozal, those very calcareous soils, it loves those soils. You'll seldomly see a nitrogen deficiency or yellowing leaves in chaya up north. You won't see that. It's very rare. You could plant a plantain tree and it will yellow. You think that the leaf that what you have is the plantain don't really, because it goes yellow. And in the Yucatan Peninsula, you will notice that chaya is always green. It's also an excellent live fence. If you plant it tight enough, it does grow thick enough that it becomes a very good fence. But chaya will grow in nearly any type of soil, including heavy clays. But it needs some drainage. If it doesn't drain, we have to build a mound. In Belize, like the rest of Central America, we use chaya more as a medicine, although it's an actual food. We use it as a medicine. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we don't find it regularly in the market. Again, I'll refer to San Ignacio market. If I go there today, there's no chaya on the shelves. It's not there. There is some, again I've been corrected. There is some chaya on the shelves. And that, to me, that's a huge advancement, because the more these crops start to appear on our local markets, the better off we are. Children need to start to eat these things now, not when we're old and we know about the benefits. The parents have to force them to eat it. They have to force them to eat, because a lot of these things are acquired taste. The reason why I don't drink beer is because I didn't have my first beer till I was about 20, and I don't like it. If I had it when I was 18, I would have been addicted to it. I don't know. That's not necessarily true. There's a lot of information in Belize. In Merida, there's an institute that researches diabetes at UNAM and Wadi in Merida City, one of the universities there. And there's a lot of good information out there, solid scientific information on how we can control or help control or combat type 2 diabetes. And that is also common knowledge in Belize. So it does have a lot of medical applications. Pregnant women who need some extra iron, kids that are growing, that are anemic, chaya is the solution. You don't have a pill for that one. You can grow the tree. And again, as I said, it has excellent flavor and acceptability. It is absolutely my favorite. It is easy to eat. There is a lot of talk, especially in the literature. As Belizeans, we know it's scientifically true, but in practice it's not. Literature tells you need to be careful how you eat chaya, because you're going to die, because it's full of toxins. There is some truth. Yes, it does have some toxins in it, but we don't eat it raw. We generally cook it, we boil it, we disperse the water, and then we eat the chaya. And once it is cooked, all those things that are going to kill you disappear. Okay, they evaporate. Heat treatment controls all the anti-growth and anti-nutritional properties of chaya. And we know that. Any of you have had chaya? And you're still here, so it's not that bad. So,
1 minute, 70% disappear. 5 minutes, not more.
In 1 minute, 70% of the toxins disappear, and in 5 minutes, they're all gone. So, let us, now that we've covered the 3 crops, does anybody have any questions on these 3 crops? Yes.
I don't have a question, but I want to stress that you stated you require well-drained soil. On my farm, I have thousands of varieties. The ones that are growing on a steep hill like this are huge. The ones that are on the lowland where they're getting too much water are much, much smaller plants at the same time. Same nutrients, same compost. So drainage is a huge.
Drainage is important for chaya. It does not like wetland. And if we need to drain our area, it's very easily. If you're doing commercial farming, drainage is the easiest thing to do. The yields of chaya are exceptional. The palatability is high, and that is why I chose those 2 crops. And now we're going to look at the real reason why we're here: regenerative agriculture. What does it really mean? It is a system of farming that increases biodiversity, enriches your soils, improves your watersheds, and enhances the ecosystem. So what does all of that mean? It's just a bunch of words. And English is a very complicated language. That's why it's the legal language. All we're trying to do, very simple, is to have high quality food, very cheaply, without the destruction of the planet. It's as simple as that. And if we choose a combination of these crops, along with some livestock, believe it or not, there's a big movement against livestock. But livestock is a crucial part of the establishment of effective ecosystems. We now know this. There's some very good examples. There's one in North America. I think it's in the Yellowstone Park, where some wolves were introduced. Everybody says, oh, we're going to destroy all the deer now, the cattle farmers, the cattle ranchers are all upset. Since the wolves have been introduced, the entire ecosystem has taken care of itself. There's a number of examples throughout the continent of Africa that has also happened. With water buffalo, with wildebeest, there's a lot of very good examples where the reintroduction of livestock. I'm not talking about cage culture, I'm not talking about deforestation, I'm talking about the enhancement where everything is working together. And these crops can do this for us. The three crops we've spoken about can be consumed by human beings and by animals. And they don't have to compete with each other. For example, the tubers that might be damaged by nematodes, by rats, and so forth, can be fed to the livestock, including things like rabbits. Rabbits love sweet potato. So this is what we're trying to do. How do we produce cheap food without damaging the environment? Everybody has heard or read that the planet is under tremendous pressure with a climatic change. Some people argue that it's a natural cycle. Could be. Others argue that it's caused by man, and that's also possible. It doesn't matter. What they cannot argue that it's not happening. And what we do know is that our agricultural practices for the last 40 or 50 years are wrong. We do know that. Whoever wants to dispute that can leave because it's undisputable. Our agricultural practices with the high use of insecticides and the high use of pesticides, of all sorts of pesticides, of the genetic modification of plants has failed. If it had worked, none of you would be here. We'd all be on holiday in France and in Italy and in Guatemala and Mexico, because we'd all be wealthy, because that's the promise of these crops, that it's going to eliminate starvation. It's going to eliminate everything that was wrong prior to that. We have more problems now with those farming systems than what we had before. Now, these crops are very local, so they're already adaptable. They have a high potential to capture sunlight, carbon, and so forth, and reincorporate it back into the soil. And this is what we're looking for, the biodiversity of these crops. And because they have a high pest tolerance, means that we can constantly have fresh food. We now have to take this knowledge, which we all already have, and take it a step further. This lady at the front asked me, how do we make sweet potato flour? Sweet potato flour should be readily available at the store. There's no reason why it cannot be done. Amaranth flour, chia, all of these things have to be readily available. And until we reach there, it's a mindset that we need to change. Everybody here can plant any one of those three crops that I've given you, because they're the easiest crops to plant. They're the highest yielding crops we have. And yet, people like myself and everybody else who's in tourism here, for some odd reason, for the last 10 or 15 years, we've been ashamed of our crops. We want an imported New York steak. You know, we want mushrooms. We want peaches, we want apples to serve our international guests. Why time? I'm told that my time is up. Any questions here? Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed today.